We are the ones who don't know what we're fighting for. Give us a gun and send us all off to war. We are the ones who grow up in violent homes. We are the ones who don't know what's right or wrong. I know. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who are born into war. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck no more. No more. We are the ones who don't know why we're losing score. Give them a badge so they can send us to the morgue. We are the ones who are scared to walk out the door. We are the ones who don't know what we're dying for. I know. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who are born into war. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck now. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who are born into war. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck no more. No. Get off his fucking neck. Oh, that makes you know. He can't fucking breathe. Oh, that makes you know. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who are born into war. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck now. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who are born into war. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck no more.
Warning: this podcast features adult subject matter, adult language, and things not meant for children to hear. Viewer discretion is advised. You've been warned. If it's Thursday, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of appropriate ages, to the latest episode of the I'm No Joe podcast, show where every armchair quarterback can feel like Eddie Bravo. I, of course, am your hostess with the mostest. The meter does many things, and with me, as is almost always the case, my partner in crime here, Golf T Vapes. How you doing over there, brother?
One day closer to Friday, and one day closer to me spending a lot of money on Saturday as my son turns 11. So I'm sure that day is going to cost me a good amount of money.
Yeah, that's going to tickle a wallet a little bit, I'm sure.
Thank God I only got to do that for about 7 more of these. And then at that point, sorry, you're an adult, you're on your own.
Right. You're almost there. You're on the tipping point.
That's it. We're past that halfway mark. Thank God.
That's right. So, that being said, we're going to jump right into it here and kick things off the way we normally like to do, with a little bit of news and recent events, official fight confirmations and cancellations, rumor confirmations and denials directly from the source, of course, other relevant things that have trickled out the MMA pipeline since we saw you wonderful folks last. Not a whole lot for news this week, not a whole lot for the card. It's going to be a fairly short show this week because there's just not a whole lot all the way around for you. We actually don't have anything this week for the first time in a minute to tie us back to last week. We actually start with something from this weekend and move only forward. So good sign, at least. We did get 2 last minute fight change-ups for this weekend's card. Hidalgo Bellato is injured and officially out. Christian Edwards stepping in on short notice to stay in that match. And then Trey Ogden actually got hurt Tuesday as well. So he is out. And a new gentleman making his debut, Artur Miniev, I believe, or Minayev is how they pronounce it, I believe. Both making short notice fucking step ups here. I've been saying for a long time that I thought Christian was the better of the Edwards brothers. Um, Leon tries, Fabian tries, but Christian's the one that actually has shown some decent promise, in my opinion. We talk about it all the time. When there's siblings that compete in the same sport, generally they're not all the greatest. There's usually one that's got the ability and one that's got the mouth, or if there's three of them, one that's got the ability and two that have the mouth. So we'll see if Christian Edwards is actually ready to step up to the plate here and do the damn thing in the UFC. And on short notice, should be a good way to see how everybody in that fight is ready or not. Also going towards this weekend, it's been rumored for a while, but we got it officially confirmed yesterday. Big John McCarthy coming out of retirement specifically to referee the Ronda Rousey versus Gina Carano fight. This is one that he said was important enough that he wanted to be there himself, and obviously he's one of the most qualified referees in the history of combat sports. He literally testified before Congress to help try and get things legalized when they were still trying to play that human cockfighting bullshit game, and John McCain was on his royal fucking throne. So Big John McCarthy has literally been there from the foundation of mixed martial arts in the United States. So to see him coming out because he understands how important this fight could potentially be, it's kind of a good sign. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. He seems to have stayed fairly fucking active, even though he's been doing more podcasting and commentating than anything in these last couple of years. So it's going to be interesting to see how he's going to be able to bounce around the cage with those two ladies. That being said, coming fresh off of the controversial decision loss to Sean Strickland last weekend, Khamzat Chimaev has wasted no time in usual Khamzat fashion and has already booked his next match for June 13th, just a couple of months from now. He will be taking on Dylan Dennis in a grappling wrestling match over on RAF on the same card that Tony Ferguson will be going out and competing on. So if wrestling is your cup of tea, there is a lot to be had on that RAF card coming up in St. Louis next month. That being said, moving on a little bit forward, July 24th, Karate Combat number 62. They've recently done some changing around of their divisions. Originally, their heavyweight division was just 205 and up. There was no ceiling, there was no bracket for it. Recently, due to the influx of fighters coming over to Karate Combat, they've had to change their weight classes around a little bit. So they now have an actual true heavyweight weight class, which is 206 and above, but they've created a 205-pound light heavyweight class. And since Sam Alvey was the heavyweight champion when it was still 205 and up, and lost to Robelis de Spagna, who is very much on the upside of things, when they created this 205 division, they made Sam Alvey the inaugural champion because that's what he was originally fighting at, was the 205 and up division. So he's defending the inaugural title for the first time and trying to stay the champion against none other than Uriah Hall. That is a karate match that people have been trying to put together for literally a decade at this point. MMA was not really either one of those gentlemen's strong suits. Karate is where both of them came from and both of their disciplines originated from. So to see them actually getting a chance to do karate combat could be pretty fucking interesting. And the fact that they're making it for the inaugural light heavyweight 205-pound belt over there could set up a whole bunch of potential fun fights considering who they've added to their roster in the last couple of weeks. So it's going to be interesting to see how that one shakes out for sure as well. The following day, July 25th, has now officially been confirmed. It will be another UFC Fight Night Abu Dhabi over in UAE. The first official fight has been announced for that card, and it will be Ishmael Bonfim versus Axel Sola. This will potentially be, I guess the better way to put it is Ishmael Bonfim is on a 2-fight losing streak. We have seen people with much bigger names and much more potential get cut after a third loss. So this very well could be the UFC deciding that they're going to put their money behind the other Bonfim brother if this one can't get his shit together. So it'll be interesting to see what he can actually pull out if he's going to take this as seriously as he should. Because if he doesn't, I could almost promise you the UFC is going to give that man walking papers the second that cage door opens to let him walk out when it's all said and done. So we'll see how that one plays out and what they actually add to that Abu Dhabi card coming up in a couple weeks. Last one I've got for news here, kind of controversial a little bit here. Roy Jones Jr. gave an interview this week and said that it is laughable that Dana White thinks that Zuffa boxing is going to have any type of longevity in the combat sports world or in the boxing world, considering that the Zuffa deals that he's been putting out there, and to quote Roy Jones Jr. here, are making slaves out of boxers. And that might work for the martial arts or for the mixed martial arts world, but that's not how we do things in boxing. Lots of us have been talking about how strange it is that Dana is going in to the Zuffa boxing thing with Turki Al-Sheikh and actually trying to put this forward under the same obviously failing system that the UFC operates under. And it seems like they're starting to get a little professional blowback here from folks who have a much heavier weighted opinion than ours. So it's nice to see that people like Roy Jones Jr., whose opinion genuinely carries a good amount of sway in the boxing world, as it should, stepping up and speaking out about how much bullshit Dana is trying to pull over with the boxers because he already managed to get that done in the MMA world. So we'll see how that plays out. Dana gave a grumbly response about how, he doesn't have to like it. He doesn't have to watch it. Typical Dana dismissive bullshit. But Roy Jones Jr. isn't the kind of guy that you can just dismiss in a situation like this because he's not going to shut up and everyone will listen to what the fuck Roy Jones Jr. has to say about boxing. So we'll obviously keep an eye on that and see how that plays out going forward. But that is what I have got for news this week. Do you have anything over there I might have missed?
I got nothing other than this weekend's going to be a waste of time on both fronts.
Yeah, no, that is for goddamn
I
sure.
mean, to be fair, I will say that Netflix card is going to far outdo what the UFC has this weekend.
Absolutely, yeah. Now, by no stretch of the imagination are we trying to say that this Netflix card is going to be the greatest card of the year or anything like that. But given the competition that's got to go up against this weekend, it should outshine everything else for sure.
Not to mention, I'll say it. I'm going to be the sexist pig here, but the eye candy in the main event is much better than any of the eye candy on the UFC card.
I had somebody ask me about that whole situation yesterday, and the only way that I could put it is that these two women are the polar opposites for women's MMA foundationally.
Yeah,
Ronda Rousey was the first girl that came in and kicked the shit out of everybody when nobody even really knew what women's MMA was. Uh, Gina Carano was the first drop dead gorgeous woman to decide that she wanted to fist fight for a living and made it possible for women like Ronda to be able to come in and kick ass and take names. Respectfully, Gina Carano was never known for her fighting ability so much as she was for her presence. Um, so it will be interesting to see, since Gina has been out of the game for so much longer, how that's actually going to play out. Because if you watch any of the shit that they've been doing for publicity this week for the media tour and stuff, open workouts and things like that, both of those ladies are in pretty fucking good shape. I would not want to get in a fist fight with either one of them myself, and I am bigger than both of them put together right now, literally. So no, thank you.
and, regardless of how long they've been out, I know there's going to be ring rust on both sides.
Oh yeah.
Just because, I mean, let's see, Gina Carano's last fight was in what, 2009?
Say I think she had an
Or,
exhibition match in like 2011, but it's been
but
well over a decade.
it's been over a decade, and Ronda's been out over a fucking decade too.
Yeah, I think Ronda's last fight was in 2016, right on the
And
nuts. So
this is just like any other fighters, because if you're a fighter, male or female, most of them continue to train in some way, shape, or fashion. So
yeah,
they're not completely untrained and then just coming in for 3, 6 months, however long they've known about it and getting their shit back together. I mean, they're seriously getting their shit back together because they know they're going to punch each other in the face.
right.
But, it's not like they've stopped training. I mean, I might lean a little more towards Gina kind of stopped training because let's say she had a little bit more of a full presence
Oh yeah, especially in her Star Wars uh vacations. I guess you could call that.
Yeah, exactly.
You could see that she was not in fighting shape is the best way to put that, I think.
No, she was in Pay Me Hollywood money shape.
Yes, she was. Yes, she was. So I will give her 100% credit because if you've seen her this week, she has absolutely changed her entire life around in the last 6 months or so since this was first announced. She is not that thick Gina that she was when she was doing all the Star Wars acting anymore. So
She looks like the fighter who retired in 2009.
yeah, she looks like she used to. So that's what I'm saying. This might not be the best card in the world, but it's gonna be something worth paying attention to for goddamn sure.
To be honest, I'll probably tune in for that more than I would the UFC card this week, which is
Yeah.
really fucking sad.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. There are more fights, albeit well past their prime. There are still more good fights on that Netflix card this weekend than there are on the UFC card. Um,
Ironically, I'll say it, that's happened a lot lately where we see these MVP fucking MMA cards where their lineup is better because they're not doing them back to back to back to back to back to back than what we're getting out of the UFC. The UFC is like an oversaturated fucking it's like international soccer. There's so many goddamn soccer teams. There's fucking soccer games every day of the week. It's oversaturated. Look, everybody's going to follow their favorite fighters and you're going to watch those, regardless of who they are, under cards, your local guy that you just want to support, whatever the case is.
right.
But you're not going to get those big pulls unless you're spreading things out. Because, I mean, their roster is so fucking big now through the UFC. You have something for every week of the year, minus what? I think this year they have what, 40, were they saying like 46 or 48
I was gonna
cards this
say I
year?
think they upped it this year with the debut on Paramount because if I remember correctly, it was 42 for ESPN, but they upped it to 46 for Paramount Plus.
Yeah, which is absolutely batshit crazy to me because we're just going to keep scraping the bottom of the barrel. And the only way that that is going to change, in my opinion, is to add more weight classes, which Dana is wholeheartedly against. We're not going to add weight classes, which is fucking stupid because I'm just saying you're willing to do shit like BMF title. That's basically a whole new weight class because you've now made it a legitimate, for those of you who are just listening, I'm air quoting here, a legitimate title where it is changing hands, where it was supposed to be a one-off. But that kind of got thrown out the window. So may as well make those other fucking weight classes. Bring in women's atom weights because there are some women atom weight
Fix
fighters that are
everything. Yeah.
fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
But I
Well,
mean,
it's extra funny that Dana bitches that he doesn't want to add more weight classes in the UFC because then it would be too much like boxing. And then he turned around and got back into boxing as a promoter. So the thing that he said he didn't want to do, he literally has to do for half the fucking business right now. Why the fuck not make things make sense and add at least one or two more weight classes on the men's side and then throw women's atom weight over there? And then you don't have to worry about 45 because women's 105 will be so much more fucking stacked than 45 ever could be. You won't notice the difference. I promise.
well, that's a fucking given because most women who fight don't fight over 135.
No, no, they do not.
I mean, Kayla Harrison is the only fucking person I can see that can legitimately stay at 145 and not have a problem.
And even then, it's still going to be tough because both her and Ronda did their Olympic competing at 177.
Yeah, so there is something to be said about that.
Yeah. So obviously, MMA doesn't want to add or really invest in a women's featherweight division. But I promise you, if they open the UFC for a women's atomweight division, you would have the biggest influx of fighters they have ever fucking seen. That's one of the reasons that Justin loves Flitlock, loves watching fights with me on the weekend because I pull up all the one fights and shit, and we get to see all the Invicta matches, and you see just how fucking badass all these atomweight women around the fucking world really are. So
Hell yeah. And there's a lot of great ones who the UFC could no doubt say, why don't you come on over here? And they're gonna fight each other just to get in.
oh yeah. Oh yeah. They would literally be printing money if they opened that women's atomweight division up. So we can only hope at some point we get there.
Well, we'll see.
So with that being said, the kid is working this week, so we don't really have a Kansan contenders, but there are a couple of interesting matchups on this card that I did want to take just a little bit to talk about, and then we can talk about the co and the main here in just a little bit here. Um, I think it stands to reason that despite all the shit talking, despite all the self hype, that we end up with Cody Brundage versus Andre Petrosky on the prelims. um Both of these dudes showed up into the UFC trying to make themselves out to be the next big thing, and both of them have ended up standing firmly on their dick more than they have not. They are both 100% capable of hot and cold flip-flopping fight to fight and can't really be banked on at this point. I don't think either one of them, unfortunately, is quite at the loser leaves town match point just yet, but both of them are knocking on that fucking door with closeness to just being fucking let go. um Tony Gant versus Artur Miniev, short notice fight that I mentioned earlier. Always curious to see how those short notice fights play out. The other one, Modestas Bukauskas versus Christian Edwards. I'm very, very curious to see how that one plays out for damn sure. Um, I gotta say, I know it's going to be an unpopular opinion, and I don't really give a shit, but at this point, I'm not really sure what to think about Malcolm Wellmaker. He showed up like a goddamn cannon shot and then really tripped over his dick hard, believing in his own hype a little too much, a little too early on. We've we've seen the glimpses of potential, but he's also young enough that if his ego can't let go of that L, he's going to plateau right where the fuck he is right now. And it's not like Juan Diaz is any kind of a world breaker that's going to, like test him to his core. But at the same time, if a dude who isn't even sniffing the rankings can get past you after you showed up with so much hype, your train is officially fucking derailed. And that's a realistic possibility for Malcolm Wellmaker this weekend. A lot of folks thought that, he was on the fast track to a fucking title shot. And then he hit that fucking speed bump and he hit it hard. He hit that speed bump and grinded his nose with some fucking asphalt burn. So,
To be fair, that speed bump being the brand new to the UFC Ethan Ewing absolutely did not stop there because when he came back for his second fight, against Estevam, fucking finished him and put on an absolute clinic.
yeah,
Like,
put on a hell of a
I
show.
mean, he showed what a fucking last minute replacement who's actually hungry and wants to fight and wants to show up and do work
Right.
does. And Malcolm Wellmaker looked like he could have been that guy coming out hot with two first round finishes. But you hit that kind of dude, Ewing his fucking game was so crisp, even during the Wellmaker fight.
Yeah.
And then to come back and do it again.
Yeah. I'm
Wellmaker,
very
if
curious to see where that guy's going to end up because he's.
I mean, hopefully, because that was Wellmaker's first professional loss.
Right.
Hopefully, he's like a lot of other guys. You get that early loss out of the way early in your career,
Yeah. Get it out of your system.
and you figure out, okay, these are where I need to make my adjustments. Maybe that's what we'll see, and he'll get back on that pony. I mean, they're kind of throwing him a softball in Juan Diaz, being a very young guy into the UFC as well. So, I mean, it's all going to depend. What does he look like after taking that decision loss to Ewing?
Yep.
And what's crazy is Ewing has fought before fucking Wellmaker for a second time.
Yeah.
Why was Wellmaker not trying to get back in there and redeem himself from that?
Even with a fucking lamb to the slaughter potentially like Diaz is here. I agree. You'd think Wellmaker would have been chomping at the fucking bit, especially considering that him and Joshua Van basically got into the UFC at the same time or around the same time and were looking like they were having similar trajectories. And now we've got Van as the champion who has officially defended the belt now, whereas
In a
Wellmaker's still
dominant
trying to get
fashion,
back in
too.
there. Yeah, no, Van absolutely stamped himself as the legitimate champion, and Wellmaker's still waiting to get back in and just try and shake off the fucking L. So I'm curious how this one's going to play out. This one could have a big impact not only on the division but on Wellmaker's future career as well. Um, that being said, You got anything on here that's particularly sticking out to you?
Yeah, I want to see what's going to happen with Nikolai Veretennikov
Yeah,
because he came in with a lot of fucking hype
yeah.
and he has been legitimate. One good fight, one bad fight, one good fight, bad fight. I mean, he
We got
lost
plenty of
to,
those in the UFC already.
yeah, we have plenty of those. So can he manage to string 2 wins together here? Because he won his last one out against Nico Price via knockout, if I remember correctly. But there's also that big ass asterisk in his record that was, I got beat by Mr. Paige Van Zandt.
And that's a hard asterisk to get over too.
Yeah, so he needs to string a couple together. But knowing what we'd seen from him in other organizations before he came to the UFC, he had a fucking load of steam that
He
just
was on a
could have
fucking
taken him
run,
to the
yeah.
moon. And he just it and it might be maybe it's the whole fucking we're just seeing these aged fighters because the UFC picked them up too late,
Right.
that they're just not in that same prime that they were before they got to the UFC, which to be fair, we've seen quite a bit of. I mean,
The fight right before, it's a great example as well. Even Urslan. Dude
yeah,
had incredible fucking hype coming into the UFC, very similar to Veretennikov did. And then when he got here, you've seen a little bit of holes in the game. Like maybe they really were big fish in small ponds before they got here, and maybe the UFC is a little bit deeper water than they thought.
I mean, yeah, he and Urslan is probably on his win or you're fucking out because he's on a 3 fight losing skid because he's what lost to Sterling, Navajo Sterling.
Let's
He's
see.
lost to
Yeah,
just
Ian Kutalaba, then
Kudalaba.
Navajo
Yep.
Sterling, and then Jimmy Crute choked him out.
Yeah. And that was Jimmy Crute finally getting his shit back together.
Right.
So, I mean, he's kind of on the shit or get off the pot at this point because 3 fights in the UFC and all 3 losses, not looking good. I mean, luckily he's got Tuco Tucos over there, or Tacos, or however the fuck he says his
Tuco
English
Tucos.
ass name.
Yeah. Super Greek.
I mean, they're at least giving him a fighting chance. And if he wants to stick around, he needs to make this a dramatic victory, like in dominant fashion. Otherwise, they're gonna cut him. I have just that feeling. Although the light heavyweight division, to be fair, is a little thin right now, so they
It's a
might
little
keep him around.
crazy. Yeah, I agree. They might keep him for a body, but even then, if they keep him and after he eats a bowl full of shit, it will be just to be a body for them to throw newbies against and shit. So
Yeah.
yeah, he
And
definitely needs a big one.
then, of course, I always have to make note of Duho Choi, fucking Korean Superboy. And that dude, I win, lose, or draw. There's something about that guy I just fucking like as a fighter.
Yep.
And he's been on a pretty good fucking tear here. I mean, he did have that majority draw against Nelson, what, 2 years ago or so?
Yeah, that's been a minute. Yeah,
But I mean, we saw him take out Nate the Train. We saw him take out Bill Algeo. Like the dude's a legitimately good fighter, and
doing work.
he right now I feel like he's kind of on that track to become. Well, I can't even say become because he's not the same, but kind of like the Korean Zombie, where he's going to be a known name for quite a while.
Yeah, he's approaching that
But
fucking level.
he
I
just
agree.
doesn't. The only thing he doesn't have that the Korean Zombie did was he doesn't tend to have that same resilience as he gets punched.
Right. Yeah, he wears
Whereas
down
the zombie was either you need to put him away or he's going to keep coming. Duo Choi is a little bit different, but I mean, the dude looks like he walked off of a Korean fashion model show to fucking come fight. I mean, we've seen guys like that, and generally most of them are fucking garbage. He is not one of them. He's a perennial good contender at this point, and
but
if he strings one or two more together, he'll be up in the rankings in no time.
yeah, I agree with that 100%.
Otherwise, the rest of the card, meh.
Yeah, this card is the definition. This is like the epitome of a contractual obligation match. This is exactly the kind of card that we refer to when we're talking about hangover cards, because we had a big numbered event and then we get this. And the vast majority of the fights on this card are going to have absolutely no impact on the division one way or another. There are a couple that Wellmaker fight could be big. The Duho Choi could put himself up into the rankings, or at least knocking on the door of the rankings with a good win over Santos, who's had a pretty good run himself. Um, Veretenikov and Urslan both probably fighting for their careers in the UFC at this point. And then a couple of late notice replacements, but there's nothing really standout on this card one way or another.
And I think, to be honest, the Arnold Allen and was it Mikhail
Melky Costa.
Melky Costa, yeah, that's a solid fight. However,
Yeah.
I don't see it as a fight night main event.
I agree. I was literally having that conversation with somebody yesterday.
Like, I see that as like a co-main event spot.
Yeah.
And that's nothing against either one of them.
No,
I like
no.
Arnold Allen, and Melky Costa has showed the fuck up.
Yes, yeah.
Like, Arnold Allen has a tall task ahead of him.
Yes,
He really does. But it's just not a needle mover that you need to keep people's eyes on the event as a whole.
Yes.
Whereas they're gonna get blown out of the water by two retired fucking soccer moms, basically. Well, one soccer mom and a fucking ex-movie star, because she doesn't know how to keep her mouth shut.
Right. No, I like Arnold Allen. I like Melky Costa. I think this is a damn good fight. It just doesn't feel like a main event caliber fight. It really feels like this was meant to be the co-main, and they couldn't put together the main event they were trying to at the last minute, so they just had to bump this one up and kind of shuffle shit around. But
I think the saddest part of this is the Arnold Allen factor. After Arnold Allen lost to Max Holloway in Kansas City, he has not been the same fucking fighter he was.
no, and he was actually he did an interview. It wasn't this week. It was late last week, where somebody asked him, like, you've been saying for almost 2 years now you want to go fight at lightweight, and yet you keep taking fights at featherweight. What's the deal? And he says, well, they keep giving me chances to stay ranked at featherweight. So this is a dude who's literally been trying, like several other fighters recently, to get the fuck out of the featherweight division because the cut is just too hard on him, and there's clear opportunities at lightweight. And for whatever reason, the UFC just keeps throwing him fucking fights at 45.
The
And
downside is if he goes to lightweight, he'd have to fight fucking Max Holloway again at some point.
I know. I was watching a video earlier today, and it was like Max Holloway beat Arnold Allen, and Arnold Allen decided that he wanted to go to lightweight permanently. And then Max Holloway got beat and said, you know what, I'm done at featherweight. I'm going to go up to lightweight, and then went and fought the BMF up at lightweight. So it's like we've seen most of the featherweight division, or at least a good chunk of it, is trying to get the fuck out because they're cutting a lot of weight to hit 45 and they don't want to do that anymore. But the UFC's featherweight division without all of these fighters is apparently going to be so thin that they're trying to keep all the guys who have been there to stay there, regardless.
The problem with that is we don't have weigh-in restrictions. And like, we beat this dead horse, I don't know how many fucking times.
Constantly.
But without those weigh-in restrictions saying you can only lose X number of pounds before the week of the fight, have a hydration test like fucking one and all that does, make those things a requirement, and then you won't have this issue of fighters wanting to move weight classes because they'll fight at close to their natural weight.
Yeah. Or the other one that I heard suggested recently that I thought would be a brilliant fucking maneuver: do it like they do with boxing. Make them weigh in the morning that they're fighting. You weigh in the morning, and then that evening is when you fight. So you don't have 24 hours to rehydrate. You physically don't have the option to drain yourself down as hard as they do when they've got 36 hours after the weigh-in before they actually step in the fucking cage.
Hell yeah, I wouldn't be mad at that.
You're fighting where you fucking walk.
Well, I mean, to be fair, they used to do evening weigh-ins the night before, and now it's morning weigh-ins, so they have a full 48 hours, basically, to rehydrate and get themselves fucking jacked the fuck back up. Everybody says, oh, 24 hours isn't enough. Well, they weigh in at like 6, 7, 8 o'clock in the
I
morning.
was say when you weigh in at 7 a.m. and then you don't have to fight until
Fight until
8:30 p.m. the next
8:30,
day.
11 o'clock, whatever the case is,
Yeah,
depending on where
that's
you're
a
at.
long time to rebulk, and that gives you a lot of opportunity to
Yeah,
suck out way more than you
because
should
you
be.
can literally just sit there and fucking pound drinks. Fucking, I mean, to be honest, if we're gonna allow that shit, they may as well just allow them to do the fucking IVs at this point. Because you
Right.
know
They're
what?
cutting too
Fuck it.
close.
I'd rather see people at their best when they're fighting than, I mean, what we got out of last weekend's fucking main event.
Right.
To be fair, Hamzat looked great in the first round,
Yes, he did.
but that second round he looked like absolute dog shit. Why? Because the weight cut. And if you go back and look, there was people from his corner saying he dropped 22 kilos
Yeah, there were
fight
people in
week.
his camp that said that he was already bulked up to go fight at heavyweight
He dropped
or
22
light heavyweight.
kilos.
Rather.
For those of you who want that in American English, that's pretty close to, it's a little over 44 pounds
Yeah,
because it's 2.2 pounds. So it's actually probably closer to 50 fucking
I'll say it's
pounds
only almost 50. Yeah, so
in a
he
week.
essentially lost a small child's worth of weight from his body in less than a
Yeah.
week, and then
He
fought.
took he took my son from 10 years old to 5 years old. That's what he did. Like that kind of shit, it's unacceptable. And then you see those types of things. To be fair, Hamzat did give it his best in rounds 3, 4, and 5, but it
Yep.
just wasn't enough.
Yeah.
Although they could have called that fight either way, and I wouldn't have been mad at it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I mean, it was obvious eh, that that weight cut had a huge, massive effect. So fix weight classes, let guys go where their natural weight classes are. Don't try to lock them in. That's the biggest problem with the UFC, in my opinion, because it's not that they can't do that and change those weight rules. The UFC chooses not to for themselves
Right.
because they still have them in every other promotion, even when they come to the States. One comes to the States. They have the same fucking weigh-in regulations. Why? Because that's chosen by the promotion.
Yep.
It's not an athletic commission thing that's chosen by the promotion to do that. If it was an athletic commission thing, I guarantee you, athletic commissions, if they had to say in this, they would not let those fighters drop that much fucking weight
No,
for a weigh-in.
absolutely not.
But they're just concerned, do they hit the weight? Part of that is a US problem. And I will say that 100% because I grew up around wrestling. And even as a young kid wrestling, they want you to drop as much weight as you can so that way you have an advantage going into that match because you're naturally heavier than the other guy. Like I remember there's kids in high school, they'd have them running during practice around the high school through the hallways during the winter. They would have trash cans on every corner. So as you went by the trash can, spit in the trash can, spit in the trash can, spit in the trash can. Why? Because every fucking ounce
Yeah,
counts.
every bit. Yep.
And that is a US wide problem is we want to get the most advantage we can. How do we do that? We take a guy that's 205, make him fight at 185.
Yeah, with the exception of California, who still does, I believe they're the only ones on the books right now that actually has a rule in their state's athletic commission's bylaws that says if there's more than a 20% difference in weight between fighters, regardless of both fighters accepting, the fight will not be sanctioned.
Yeah. Which
So that's the closest we get in any state really to having any kind of a weight cutting,
I
punishment or something.
ironically, California is also very well known for having massive weight cuts in wrestling. I know because a good friend of mine from the fucking army was a wrestler there. He would drop 30 pounds a fucking week when he would have fucking goddamn wrestling meets. He would drop 30 pounds in a week. So he just wouldn't be eating a slice of bread a day or something like that.
Fuck that.
Like so they're known for doing that shit too. Don't let them fool you with their fuckery.
Right.
Also, that was probably known to the state of California to cause cancer back in the fucking 80s.
Right. Yeah. I'm sure
Because
there's a booklet on it.
everything in California causes cancer.
That's right. So that being said, that'll bring us to the only segment of the show that does require its own individual disclaimer. So if you will, Tapology.com in no way, shape, or form supports or sponsors or endorses the I'm No Joe podcast. Yet. That being said, Tapology does let you make a free account on their website so that you can you can make fantasy style MMA picks like we do here on the show. They even let you make groups on there. So we made one, and it's called I'm No Bookie, all one word, or group 965. However, you need to find it. The group is open to the public. You are welcomed and encouraged. Make yourself an account. Let us know who the hell you are, and we will hold your picks accountable with our picks in the segment that we call Tapology with TJ.
All right, welcome back. I'm back again. Like I was just here like 2 seconds ago. Anyhow, um, Tapology is absolutely free. I know a lot of you are freeloaders, and I'm perfectly all right with that. So if you're a freeloader or just a cheapskate, come join Tapology because it's free. Join us group 965. I'm no bookie. However, you need to find it. We will hold your picks accountable, just as we hold our own accountable. Now, mind you, we're not doing this for money or anything like that. This is just all for shit talking and bragging rights and, just to see where you stand on how well you can pick a fight. With all of that being said, if you don't want to be a freeloader anymore, you can join the Patreon down below. It's scrolling on the screen and I fucking know it. Little is $1 a month. But if you're feeling extra generous and maybe you want to throw enough out for a new computer or two, feel free. We're not going to say no to that. I mean, hell, I've been running the same webcam for fucking 7 years. And the same little tiny Samsung Go mic. Because, well, I'm just like you guys. I'm a fucking cheapskate. That's why I do Tapology, because it's fucking free. Now, that being said, let's get into this last week's UFC 328, Chimaev and Strickland. Um, Overall, we did very well. Everyone in our group, with the exception of one, was above the 50% mark. There was a hell of a race for the top spot for quite a while.
Fuck yes, it was getting heated for a minute there.
Then somebody had to just go and pull some random bullshit out of their ass and,
Yeah.
take that top spot. Congratulations, Christian. You're not here. You're late to the fucking party, so you don't get to hear this. Fuck off. Um, really cool though is myself and Meter were tied in second. With literally, it looks like we probably copied each other's fucking homework,
Yeah, I was
even
saying
though we
almost
live
pick for
multiple
pick, yeah.
states away. Hey, it was literally the exact amount of correct picks, the exact amount of decision picks, and the exact amount of semi-perfects.
Yep.
They were just a weird little coincidence. Now, speaking about that run for the bottom spot, there was, I will say this week, there must have been something crazy going on in the Don and Donna household because they both did not do Donna definitely did not do her normal.
No.
She shit the bed for herself. She didn't take the bottom spot, but compared to her normal, like being up towards the top or in the running of the top, she wasn't there this week. The unfortunate part of this is somebody who could have copied off of Christian's homework chose not to. And Vinny took the bottom spot there with 6 to 13 correct. Oh, also, honorable mention to our man who is not here, coming in second place as well. 2 weeks in a row, showing his fucking teeth as the newbie.
Hell yeah.
At some point, that beginner's luck has to run out. That's just how that works.
Yep.
But you give kudos where kudos is due.
Ride that wave while it's surfy.
That's it. So, since we are into the second week of the summer shenanigans here, we'll give you the little rundown on where everybody's sitting. Right now, Christian, with his big week there, puts himself into the lead at 1370. The meter is sitting in second at 1310. Oh, newbie. Fucking sitting in the 3 spot at 1285. Myself not far behind him in the 4 spot at 1210. Because Don and Donna kind of shite the bed, they're rounding out the 5 and 6 spot, respectively. And then Vindog taking the rear right now in the 7 spot. So, crazy things are happening. We've got until August 15th before this comes to an end. That is going to be the UFC 330 in Pennsylvania is going to be the last card. So we've got quite a few cards left. I'm not going to count all those out because I really don't fucking care that much right now. But know that who knows if you want to get into the next one, you have till August to sign up. That doesn't mean wait till the last fucking minute though.
No.
I mean, bring your ass on, join the party. It's going to be fun. Now, with all that being stated, let's go on. We're going to skip over to this week's odds. And I'm going to say this very boringly because it is fucking boring to me. The odds across the board are so goddamn coin flippy that there's only what one fight. No, there's two fights on here that are semi worth talking about. And one of them is going to be Nicole Cagliari and Shauna Bannon. Shauna Bannon is coming in a plus 240 underdog. Nicole is coming in as a minus 300 favorite. Now, mind you, this is the opening fight on the UFC fucking card this weekend. So it's one of the few that if you feel like betting one way or another, go for it because you could win a buck. Because to be fair, neither one of them are anything to write home about. However, I would be very nervous about putting my money on Shauna Bannon. Uh, just to be fair. Oh, the other one I do want to briefly touch on here that's slightly wide and kind of worth talking about, and that is Malcolm Wellmaker's fight. Because him and Juan Diaz. Wellmaker coming in as a minus 280 favorite over Juan Diaz and a plus 230 underdog. Like I said, he's kind of getting a slight softball there to get himself back on fucking track. Not a huge wide odds, but it's fairly close to coin flippy. I guess there is one other one, and that is that late. I forgot about that. The late replacement in Christian Edwards and Modestas Bukakas. Bukakas, because he was prepping for a fight, gets the minus 330 favorite. Christian Edwards is a plus 265 underdog. Um,
All right.
Not hugely wide odds, but we also know Modestas Bukakas is not always the most on fire person. So it does make little sense that they didn't go overboard on the odds with that last minute replacement.
Yeah.
Everything else on the card, though, coin flippy. It's basically pick'ems. The way to make money this week, if you are into betting, is parlays and making sure you hit all of them because that's the only way you're going to make any money as a bettor. Now, I'm not condoning betting. I'm not telling you to bet. However, if you do decide to bet and you win big, feel free to sling some our way if you think we may have helped in some way, shape, or fashion. If you didn't, whatever, it's cool. Just mention us when you buy that new house or whatever. Now, as always, we'll hit the co-main and main. Co-main Korean Superboy, Duho Choi, and Daniel Santos. Santos coming in as a minus 170 favorite over Duho Choi is a plus 140 underdog. Like I said, pretty close to coin flippy. Same is going to go for the main event in Arnold Allen, Mickey Costa. Milky coming in as a plus 115 underdog. Arnold Allen, a minus 135 favorite. Kind of strange to me, but it's coin flippy. It's not surprising at this point. This is how they suck those featherweights in and keep them there.
Right.
But yeah, like I said, not a whole crazy lot going on with the odds this week. So, just remember if you make your bed, sleep in it. That's all there is to it. If you do something stupid, don't name it after me. And that's all I got for you this week.
Thank you very much, sir. Always appreciated. So that's going to do it for this particular episode. Like I said, not a whole lot to go over, not a whole lot of news, not a whole lot of anything happening this weekend to get crazy about. I still stand by the fact that I think the MVP card is going to be better than the UFC card. Luckily, they're not overlapping too terribly much, so we might be able to see and actually figure out which one is better this weekend. But that is all we've got for this particular episode. If you are new around here, first and foremost, welcome. Thank you for staying through the whole thing. We appreciate that. If you like what we get up to around here, thumbs ups are appreciated. Subscriptions are even better. If you do subscribe, make sure you turn the notification bell on because YouTube sucks about telling you when shit happens when it's actually happening. So make sure that you are covered. If you really like what we get up to around here, share an episode with a friend. We're always trying to grow the show. They're constantly changing the monetization fucking guidelines and goalposts, and we are always struggling to try and be quote unquote compliant so that we don't piss anybody off too much. That being said, we try and do the show pretty much every Thursday when there are fights to talk about. We go live around 9 p.m. ish Central Standard Time on both youtube.com/at I'm No Joe and twitch.tv/ I'm No Joe. Both of those replays get left up as long as those platforms will allow. If you miss us live, you can always catch the replay. If you missed the replay on purpose, we also understand that. We own mirrors as well. And for that very reason, the week after we go live, we put the all audio version up on anchor.fm/ I'm No Joe. You can get that through your podcast consumption platform of choice, Google, Spotify, Apple, whatever you use to listen, excuse me. It's up there and it is for free, just like the viewing part of it. If you really like what we get up to around here, the best way to help out, patreon.com/ I'm No Joe. For as little as $1 a month, as much as you are comfortable giving, you help us do what we do around here. And in exchange for that patronage, first and foremost, we put your name on the end of every broadcast on the channel so everyone can see how fucking awesome you are. But for supporting us at any level, we give you unrestricted access to the behind the scenes, unaired and unairable content. All the shit that got us kicked off of OnlyFans as a platform, it's all up there for all the Patreons to see. We also now produce Patreon only content. We have Patreon exclusive stuff just for people who support us. So if you got a buck and you like what we do, check that out. The other side of that coin, though, if you don't like what we do up to around here, first and foremost, what the fuck are you still doing this deep into a podcast that you didn't enjoy? Give it a thumbs down and go fuck yourself. We won't even dispute that. That being said, when we wrap things up around here on Thursday night, that is not the end of the fun, because pretty much every Friday morning, even though he didn't make it for the show because he's closing out, Christian and his other half will drop their podcast, Slow Bake and Contemplate, over on Spreaker.com. Links down below in the description, whether you are watching or listening to this. Go check out their podcast. They've got their socials down there, as well as the link to their very own I'm No Joe Discord server channel. Check all that shit out. Click on it. Tell them awesome they're doing. But that being said, even though we don't get Wednesday streams anymore, there is still a YouTube channel. Wait, no, over there. For this guy here, Golf T Vapes, link should be down in the description just the same. Obviously, we're not getting regularly weekly streams over there anymore, but definitely keep an eye on that, because there are fundraisers aplenty. We try and do a lot of good, and we do a lot of it through that channel over there. So don't miss that one either.
Sir, he's right. I don't do shit on Wednesdays. Wednesdays are my day of rest. Actually, who am I kidding? I don't get a day of rest. I'm a fucking adult. But no, no. Since I don't do shit on Wednesdays, you gotta have something to fill that void. The meter does many things. In fact, how do I know this? Because if I've gone down below, and I've clicked on Linktree. Linktree / the meter does many things, Linktree / I'm No Joe. Either one of them will take you to the many things that the meter does do. In fact, you would be surprised on how full that you can become on the amount of content that is there. In fact, I would say by the time you're done, you're going to be feeling quite high on life. So go check it out. It's worth your time. It'll fill in that Wednesday void and all that other time in between.
Thank you very much, sir. Much appreciated. Yeah, if you find yourself a fan of Satan's Jazz Cabbage here, you are definitely going to want to keep an eye on that other channel, because I drop a new review every month on the 15th, which will be tomorrow. So if you're catching this on the replay, you can go watch that now. If you're watching this live, when you wake up tomorrow, you can go have some fun on my other channel. If that's not your cup of tea, no sweat. Linktree / I'm No Joe will take you to everything punchy kicky that we do here on the channel and everything else that goes with it. So that is all we have got for this particular episode. So until next time, boys and girls, don't let ignorance stop you. You can root for anything.
Everybody was kung fu fighting. Those bullets were fast as lightning. In fact, it was a little bit frightening. How do I say goodbye to what we had? The good times.